Welcome to the Fearless Happyness Podcast, where we showcase phenomenal individuals who have overcome serious traumas, life obstacles, and challenges to find their own path to fearless happiness. Listen as Max Naist invites guests from all around the world to share their experiences and spread strength, hope, and faith. This is the Fearless Happyness Podcast, and this is Max Naist.
All right, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. This is Max from the Fearless Happyness Podcast, coming back to you today with another special and amazing guest, my neighbor to the north, Sam Stokes. But what I like to do, Sam, is have you introduce yourself to my audience, like who you are, what it is you do, then you and I are going to rock and roll.
Okay, awesome. Cool. My name is Sam Stokes. I am an artist and a musician, and like I love to say, a visionary. I believe that so oftentimes the artists in our community are the ones that kind of see ideas and visions and ways that we can live, to just have, the most beautiful and cohesive and collaborative way of existing. So yeah, I really try to tap into that space and really hold that space within music and just within the conversations and things that I like to share on social media and on my website.
All right. I love that, right? And, you and I were talking, I said, I love having, artists, musicians on my podcast, right? Because I love hearing their story, what got them into music and stuff like that. So that's what I like to start with. Like, I don't say problems or struggles. I always say, tell us about some of the struggles. See, I just said it. The challenges, that you have gone through in your life, right? That have brought you, and what got you into music, and those challenges that have shaped who you are today.
Yeah. I'm very lucky to be one of those kids that grew up with a bunch of musicians. So folks are musicians, grandparents, uncles, aunts, like a lot of musicians. If there was a family trade, that was it. So a lot of music around all the time. And through that, though, definitely experienced my fair share of heartbreak, right? Definitely experienced my fair share of grief and loss. And one of the things that I really did want to share and talk about today was a little bit my journey with trauma, and specifically what that kind of healing journey looks like through PTSD and through trauma, without being too triggering, because I like to be really mindful of those who might be watching this or maybe right in the middle of their own kind of healing journey. I don't like to be overly detailed or overly, graphic, but just in a broad sense, in 2020, I was at a friend's house. We were just having coffee, and we found his roommate and a friend of mine deceased from a drug overdose. And it was so unexpected. I have not been the type that's been, under substance abuse, and that hasn't been something that's been on my journey personally. I don't drink, and it's kind of never interested me that much, all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't something that I was like in that myself, but being right next to it and right adjacent to it. And it was so unexpected. It really was a completely, like, if you looked up textbook, like, what's a traumatic event? It was like, this is it. And it was about 6 months of, like, I would say probably hardcore, like, PTSD, like, couldn't get more than 2 hours of sleep, couldn't, like, focus that much, just, like, really anxious and shaky. And it was also kind of connected to this interesting sort of spiritual side of it, which was, the day before it happened, I was like crying in my parents' kitchen saying something terrible is about to happen. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, no, I can really feel something terrible is about to happen. And then the next day I was like, shake it off. It's a new day. Like, never mind. Let's just get this cup of coffee. We're just going to go have a nice afternoon. Like, let's not worry about that. And, insert traumatic event. And, it was, I think what I wanted to kind of share and then talk about today, especially too, was what that process looked like for me in terms of like, how did I move through that? Because I had a lot of advice from people saying, just ignore it, build up a wall, try to pretend it didn't happen. Like there was a lot of like, don't feel your feelings. There was a lot of just, distract yourself with something else. And I was like,
Right.
no, I really want to move through this. And the image that I kept having was like, I want to move through this until the water runs clear, right? I was like, I want to allow this. And it brought up all of these other events and all these other triggers, right? It brought up all these other feelings. And I just kept thinking like, no, I really want to move through this. And we were talking a little earlier about, you know, how your process, I think, it's not necessarily connected to God. It's not necessarily like a religious or a spiritual process, like the process of going through that. But for me, what was fascinating was that in that journey, I kind of grew up with this very agnostic or atheistic kind of perspective. I was a little bit curious, like, hey, you know, is there a God or universe or what's going on? And that was maybe the first day when I was sitting in that garage and the paramedics are running around. We're sitting here for hours. And I heard God for the first time be like, you do not need any of this to access creative genius. And that was the thing that I think as a kid, I always felt that there was this mythos around being an artist. Oh, if you want to be an artist and you want to be tapped in, right? You want to be a creative genius. It was always showing artists as like, they're always using substances, right? Right. That's the mythos. And they're genius and they're, you know, they have their thing. And I just felt like, but I don't feel called to that, but I am called to the creativity. And I felt like, does one actually genuinely lead to the other? And it was in that moment and on that day that I literally for the first time heard this thing from God, just like, you don't need this to access that kind of creative genius. Like you can access that flow. You can access that creativity just drinking a glass of water. It doesn't have to be, because that's that idea of like, you're placing power outside of yourself. Oh, this thing will make me smart or make me a genius.
Right.
I can't access and it's like, wait, it's within you. You can do it, you know, right? So
I agree with you 100%, right? Because I have a little phrase that I put together that goes like this: you have everything you need to be great today.
Yes.
And right. And yeah, for me, definitely I fought, how do I put this, right? It's because of God that my faith in God now that I'm over 22 years clean and sober, right? But when I got sober, I was like, well, if there was a God and he loved me, why would he let me go through this? Right. Like I blame my dead father. I blame my mother. I blame myself. I blamed everybody. But, you know, first, before I really took a long look at myself and said, oh, it was my fault. Right. And I'll give you an example, right? When in my addiction, because I'm a father of 4, right? Like it took me to the depths where I would not like see my kids for 9 years, right? It was so bad. And then when I got sober, I would sit with my sponsor and I would tell him, you know, God loved me so much, you know, and I'm not, what I like to say though, is like, I'm not trying to push on the audience anything God related or 12-step. We're sharing our experience here. And my experience was, if God loved me, if there is a God out there, why did he take my children away? And my wise sponsor said, he goes, you gave them away. And God was protecting them. And I was like, oh, right? Like he would say things like that where I couldn't argue with them. But see, and I believe you absolutely 100% when you say you don't need that stuff to be a creative, right?
Yeah.
I believe that we all have a gift that we've been given, right? And I like to say a gift from God, right? And it's just our responsibility to find what that gift is and then share it with the world. In your case, it's music, right? And you're coming out, and we'll talk about it, your new album or your new, God, that makes me like date myself. Album. They don't even make albums anymore.
It is an album.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, then I am going to have to get an album because I haven't had an album in I don't know how many years, right? Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, but I know some of the most creative people like yourself. The people I know, they got better once they put down the substances, right? Like
Yes.
they realize like that stuff was actually hindering their creativeness and their, you know what I mean? And whatever that is, you know, for me, I think my gift is connection, right? I love connecting with people. I don't care if we're at the store and you're some little old lady. I'm going to be like, hi, how are you doing? Right. And, or we're with Sam. I think that's the gift. And that's what most people tell me. Your gift is connecting with other people. It's easy. Like you could be at a restaurant and you just start talking to your person in the booth next to you or whatever.
Yeah.
But let's share. I want first people to understand, kind of like go over that, what we talked about before, like your healing process, how that looked for you, and then how you coming out with this album, how that's going to help people heal.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So there was kind of two big takeaways that I had. Well, maybe actually three. There's three big takeaways that I had going through, let's say that like 6 months of really heavy PTSD, where I was just like hovering in my body, like 2 hours of sleep, night terrors. I'm a lucid dreamer. So it's like, it was very intense, reliving events and just like really just PTSD. Right. And, there were three things that I felt were, and I'm just going to say, you know, it was like a guiding light, or like, because it wasn't coming from anything specifically. It was just like, I'm going to move through this, and I want to like move through this until the water runs clear. And the three things that for me were really helpful, and this is what I would love to share in case somebody is like right now finding this thing, was one, I just had to be extra kind and extra loving to myself. It was like, drink all the water, have really healthy food, like be very kind, very gentle, spend a lot of time outdoors, try to find things that were joyful and things that could like, you know, like being okay with, I don't have to talk about this every day. I'm just going to go find reasons to laugh. I'm going to go find, you know, I'm going to try and, like, gently allow this to exist and move through this with really loving myself. The other thing that I thought for me felt like really strong as a message was, I think I will heal by serving others. And so I'd never had this experience before, but I was like, I need to work at a restaurant. I need to go to a restaurant and I need to serve people. Right. It's almost like the washing the feet of others. It's taking care of others, and not for this. And it's not for this sense of like, I'm ignoring my own problems to focus. It's not that. It was more, let me just get out of my head and just focus on other, like very simple needs. Right. I'm just focusing on, can I do this? Can I do this? To just kind of create this. I have a regular thing that I'm going to. Here's this thing that I'm able to serve others. That just felt really, really important. And then the last part, which to me was, I never heard anybody talk about it this way, which is why I just felt so compelled to share this part of the story. Was because I am a lucid dreamer. I can remember dreams from when I was 3. I used to revisit them. I have very vivid and exciting dreams, and it's been one of my greatest pleasures, and also sometimes challenges of like, how do you wake up and be like, I just lived 4 days last night. Hold on, let me like process this and then kind of start the day. But as a result of this, you know, traumatic experience and then moving through like that PTSD phase, that part was really like, it was really hard for me to go to sleep because it was like, oh, I'm going to relive this. This is terrible. So I didn't really know, like, I don't even like to watch scary movies because I will relive that scary movie in my dream for like a week, and I will live it myself. So I'm just like, no, I'm not going to put that in my subconscious. Like I'm good. I don't need to do that. And I found, the thing that really surprised me the most was, about 6 months, 7 months into it, I had this dream where I relived that day, and I'd done this, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of times already. But this dream, I woke up with tears in my eyes, and I'd never waken up like already crying. Like I woke up and there was already kind of tears. And I relived the dream where like everything was a little bit different. And again, I don't want to be too graphic. I don't want to overshare, but it was like, instead of, seeing my friend on the bed, it was like he was already covered up, right? So instead of seeing him, it was like his photo was there and his eyes were closed and he was peaceful. When we got out, it was like my friend's mom was there and she had a bunch of lasagna and was like, here, I have dinner. And there was like these golden retriever puppies, like all excited, and you could just like get this love. And it was like all of the things that would have made that day just like easier. It was in this dream. And I realized that it was my subconscious saying, we're done. Like, you don't have to relive this anymore. We're not going to make you look at this dream again. You're done. And since then, I literally have never had that dream ever again. It's been 5+ years. And it was like so clear and such a clear knowing, so definitive, like, okay, the water has run clear. You have run through, like you felt it. Right. And for me, I think the thing that I've personally have always tried to strive for is, if something triggers you, it means that there's a wound that is asking to be healed, right? Because there's a lot of things that don't trigger us, but if something does trigger you, it's like, oh, you're just pushing right on that, like open, oh, that's like salt right there. And you're like, oh. Yep. So for me, I was like, you know what? I want to be able to move through this experience and not be triggered that I'm not able to talk about it, right? I don't want to be able, I want to be able to, experience it, learn from it, move through it with grace and compassion for myself and for others. And also, I don't want this to be this thing that it's like, I'm on eggshells for the rest of my life, which a lot of people can be, right? And
I'm sure we both know people like that who haven't healed from certain, where you don't even, you look at them and you're like, I hope I don't say something that triggers them, or you know what I mean? Like, know, because they haven't done the healing like you did, or I did, right? Because, and I love that you bring that up, right? Because what you said about building walls, right? Like people saying, don't just ignore it, find it, that's like the worst thing you can do, because your subconscious already knows it's there and it's going to eat at you every day, right? Until you can go down and go, okay, they're in a better place. I need to get into a better place. Yes, it's unfortunate that I had to see that, right? Now I really know what the effects of drug addiction is, all about. And but ignoring it, right? That's kind of how I got into my addiction, right? Going through uncomfortable feelings and going, you know what? I'm not going to feel it.
Right.
I'm going to do everything in my power to ignore it, right? Yeah. While in the background, it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger, right?
Yeah. And I felt there was this other part of it too that it just came back to my consciousness, but I just remember thinking, wow, I think that was in long term so healthy. Was on the day and right after it happened, I just felt this, I was compelled to put the words in my mouth. That's what I just kept hearing, was like, put the words in your mouth. You have to like speak this, because if you don't, like, it's going to feel like it's this bigger and bigger wall that you have to overcome. And I am so lucky to have the coolest, most amazing brother in the whole world. And he, we have such a special relationship, and being able to be there for like those hard conversations or those hard moments. Yeah, and I just called him, 20, 30 minutes after it happened. And I was just like unfiltered, like, I'm just going to say exactly what happened, exactly, so that I don't feel like I have to hold on to this. And then in 5 years, I'll be able to finally say it. It was like, no. Right. I want to say it and just have said it. And then it was this amazing thing where it was like just doing that. And that could be a therapist, right? But it was like just putting the words in my mouth. And there's something about like somebody else witnessing you saying it. Right. It allowed me to then not have to really talk about it in that detail ever again.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like,
well, that's how you heal, I think, when you have that safe person, whether it's a therapist, a priest, or brother or sister or someone you trust, that's going to let you, I like to say, vomit all over them, right?
Yeah.
And they let you without judgment, and then they just kind of wrap their arms around you and go, "You're going to be okay."
Yeah. I got you.
Like, there's something healing about that, right? When, and that's why a lot of people with PTSD go through EMDR therapy, right? Which helps it take it out of the body and reprocess it in a different way, because you went through it for 6 months. I'm sure you didn't just feel it in your brain, but it was like through your whole body. You could feel that, right? And, see, and that's what this whole podcast is about, really, is about people's resilience and going through challenges like that and finding the way they healed and then sharing that with the world. And in your case, it's music, right? So let's talk about your upcoming album, right? And I love saying that, right? I'm 58 years old. I haven't had, I say album and my grandkids go, "What's that?" You know what I mean? Like, okay, right, album, right? This is, and I'll be able to show them once I get Sam's new album. I'm going to go, "This is what we listened to when I was a little kid."
Yeah, exactly.
And I can't wait to see their eyes are going to be like, "What's that?" You know what I mean? But talk about that, Sam, and right. And what your album's about and how it's going to help people heal from whatever they're going through.
Yes, absolutely. So the album is called The Tale of Gaia, and Gaia is another word for Mother Nature, planet Earth, right? And so this whole thing kind of came together, and it really kind of started around the same time. So this project has kind of been in process for maybe 4 or 5 years. And it wasn't until last year that through working together with Plaid Dog Recording, which is a studio out in Boston, they help artists do crowdfunding, so they're able to pay for the whole album before they go in to record it, which was amazing. And they're just the coolest and the best and most lovely human beings, period. So we did 6 of the 9 songs there, and then 3 of the other songs I did in collaboration with other artists throughout the U.S. And the whole idea for this concept for this album is, what is it like to greet Earth with fresh eyes, right? I feel like we have, especially in the age of AI, in our global consciousness, like I feel like we're really questioning, what does it mean to be human? Because humanity and humanness is all of a sudden questionable, right? You see videos on TikTok and you're like, was that a human or was it not, right? So our sense of humanity is already questioned. And so this concept of the album is, what would it be like if a soul came to Earth and it was experiencing the planet for the first time? It was experiencing humanity for the first time. And, and then kind of at the same time getting lost in the journey of it. So they get lost and pulled into, all of a sudden they're not just the, anthropologist, they are pulled into humanity. And, so this, it kind of has joy and exploration, but it also has solace. There's a song on there called Green Beans that just came out last week, which is really a reflection of the experience that I was talking about and kind of the dark night of the soul. And then also kind of the phoenix rising from the ashes and the resilience and our interconnectedness to one another. It's the whole experience, right? And so that's what this is about. And so it's one song at a time is being released until September.
I love it, right? Because this world needs some healing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see it. We all do, right? Like the crazy with AI now. And like, it's sad that when you watch something, you question if that is even real. You know what I mean? Like when I was growing up, you saw the news and it was happening at real time, right? And then you knew. Now it's like you question it. Was that really did that really happen? Or is that somebody trying to, right?
Yeah.
And I like to say, I like to go back to where it was when we were younger, right? Like, you know what? It didn't matter who you were. You had all your friends on the block, right? It didn't matter. You just had fun, right?
Right.
Your parents said, go play, right? Of my age group, go play. The lights come on, come in for dinner. And then if you're good, you could go out and play a little bit longer. But we all go through stuff, and I'm very honored that you're here and grateful, right? Because now I get to have someone on, the show that's going to come out with an album that could be healing for someone, right? And for a lot of us, right? Yes. if you think about it, because we talked about it before, right? Like COVID, I believe, messed up a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there was nothing we could do about it, but part of it angers me 100%, right? Like, but we won't get into that because we might have to do some healing after I'm done talking about that, right? But it was just sad to hear when you had to hear about people losing family members but couldn't be there for their last, you know what I mean? Like,
Heartbreaking.
and I know, and then hearing, in my case, right, in recovery, in sobriety, like hearing people, getting cut off from their meetings and having to do Zoom, and, some people not knowing how to do technology, relapsed again and not made it back. And it's just,
right.
It was just an ugly time, as when it started to the time it ended, and even now. But, there's part of me that's glad that they're proving that it was BS, pretty much, right? They should have never done it because there was really, but that's my humble opinion.
Okay.
But what I'm getting at, though, is like you and I have gone through stuff, right? And we found the way to heal ourselves, right? So I want you to talk about, right, having your brother in your life who sounds like he's an awesome person, right? That lets you. Is he big brother or little brother?
Little brother.
I don't have my
little brother. Bigger than me, so we always say
little big brother.
Yeah, big brother. But I think that that's such an important point as well. Was like, I think so many times we can like go through a hard experience, right, and then we can like wear that scar or that wound for the rest of our lives. Yeah. And I think I also want to, be that voice of saying, you can go through something really hard and you can find your joy again. You can like go through something really hard and like come out stronger, healthier, happier than before. And I think that that's something that we don't see a lot of as well, right? We see a lot of, there was this hard, and then everything just feels like it gets harder from there. And it's like, wait. We can go through something and we can heal to the extent that we say, okay, like I'm actually joyful and balanced, and I, like it's not a boulder I'm carrying in my backpack. Not at all.
Right. Right.
Not at all. Right.
And I love that, right? Because it's true, right? Because I could stay stuck and angry, right? But who's the one that's not growing? It'll be me because I'm stuck, and everybody's going to pass me by, right? If I keep up that kind of attitude. So I love that, what you just said, because, right, someone brought up a point to me and says, you never go back to where you were before. You want to get back to where you were better than where you were before, right? Mm-hmm. And be, like you said, happy, joyful, right? Full of life, ready to take on the next challenge, right? But there's one thing that I love that you said previously, right, is that giving back to others, right? Whatever you believe in, right? Whether it's the universe, Buddha, God, right? That's a big part of our own healing, right? Is serving others, right? That's a big reason I've over 22 years, right? Because there's a part in the book, there's a part in my program that says the only way I get to keep what I have is I have to give away what was so freely given to me. And for me, that's love, compassion, empathy, right? And all that stuff, right? Because I remember when I was new and I thought, man, I don't want to be here. But that first hug, even though it was crazy for me, right? The first hug and said, welcome, was the beginning of my journey. And it was like, wow, man, nobody was giving me hugs where I was coming from, right? This got to be good, right? This has got to be, even though it was weird for me, like, but here I am, right? And I'm having this awesome conversation with you. How does that, you're doing it by a new album.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your everyday. Like, how does that service look like for you?
I love that you bring that up. And I definitely, as horrible as that event was, and how sad I am that, of course, that person is no longer with us, and how challenging that was for his family and the community and everything. Like, do not wish that upon anybody. also I acknowledged that there was like demons bigger than him. And it was just, for all of that love and all of that support, it just, it happened. And I felt, I can say that the compassion and the depth of my understanding and ability to relate to other people now has 1000% deepened as a result of that experience. That as a result of going through that, I feel like I'm a better friend. I feel more compassionate and more empathetic to people's really hard situations. I feel more deeply connected to being like, oh, someone's even a stranger, the amount of times I've seen someone, crying, in the middle of a thing because they're having a panic attack, and just like going up to them and just hugging a total stranger and saying, just slow your breathing to the sound of my heartbeat. Like, it's okay. And it's like, I don't need your name. I don't need to know your story. We don't have to do anything beyond this. I just see that this is a moment where you need a little bit of grounding, and I can recognize that in you, and I can show up in that way. I like to think of, I don't know if you've heard the term, like light workers.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. But it's this, to me, if there was one thing that resonated, it kind of feels like, and I'll see it where I'll go to like a fair or a festival or a show or whatever. And you sometimes will just kind of subconsciously connect to, and to me, it feels like the light workers in the room, where it's just like a little nod, or like people that are just there that are like, we're here, we're present, we're like keeping the vibe good kind of thing. And it just kind of, I don't know, I'm sure you've experienced that a thousand times, where you're just kind of like, cool, okay, they're here, cool, they're with it, okay, cool. And just being, that's how I really truly like to show up, is just being that. There was even an experience I remember where I was on the train going from a show from South Germany up to like Berlin to do some shows. And I was on the train, and I was so excited. Like, train travel in Europe is amazing. It had just snowed. I was excited. I was looking forward to this for like weeks. I was like, 4 hours on the train. I'm just going to sit down and look out the window, and this is going to be great. And I sat down in this like little 4 thing. So there's mine with like a little table, and then there's the other 2. And this guy sits down across from me like 30 minutes into getting on the train. And he looked like he was having a really rough day, but he looked like, I don't want to ascribe or say that I know what his situation was, but he looked a little rough. And I had this initial thing of like, no, I don't want to get sucked into this situation. Like, why am I here? What is happening? Like, what, I was like, should I change my seat? I was like, I don't want to do this right now. And then I just sat with it, and I was like, Sam, stop. And then I just looked around, and I realized, oh my God, maybe he chose to sit here because this was the one seat he felt safe. This was the one seat where he felt he wasn't going to be ridiculed. He wasn't going to be judged. He wasn't going to and he passed out. I mean, this guy was like sleeping. And I just thought, oh, I don't have to be afraid, and I don't have to fear this person. I can just exist as like this safe little hub, and just like, hey, you can come and drink water from the watering hole, right? Like, here you can just peacefully catch your breath. And like, I don't know what the rest of your journey is looking like. And I don't know. And I don't have to also, get super involved and I don't have to do anything. I can just be here and say, you're fine.
Right.
That's all that it is,
See, and that reminds me, I love that saying, be still and know that I am, right? I think it's in the Bible or something, right?
Yeah.
But that's why I always, how do I put it? I always push, be kind, right? Because you never know what someone's going through, right? Like, even opening the door for someone and letting them, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you could see their face and they're like, wow, no one's done that for me all day today. Thank you. So, you make their day, and and like you said, you don't have to go any farther. You just know, you get that feeling, that look, and you know that you did the right thing, and you walk off going, hey, that felt pretty good, right? I don't have to be a jerk, or you know what I mean? And
Right. Yeah. And I
I
don't
mean,
have to, because I think some of it is like, especially like as a woman navigating through the world, sometimes in situations like in that situation, I'm alone. Right. So then you're
right,
having this like fear thing of, is this person going to follow me? Is this going to lead to something? If I'm too nice, are they going to think that I'm hitting on them? Or, and it was just like,
right,
wait, hold on. I
right,
can just be kind and that's it. Like I can have that firm boundary and also be completely compassionate and kind and
right.
just say, hey, I see you, rest, like you're good. And,
Yeah.
I send you on your journey and I hope that you're well,
Right. And they're like, I don't believe in coincidences either, right? He sat there in front of you
Oh
or
yeah.
wherever, right? Because somewhere in his side, he's inside of him. He said, this is a safe place and I can
Yeah.
pass out and gather myself, right?
Yeah.
If that means sleeping in front of this person, I don't even know.
Yeah.
But you gave him that safe space, right? You didn't give him a look or like whatever, like, oh no, get out. You can't sit here.
Yeah.
And, in the places like where you live and I live, I mean, that happens all the time. People are giving looks. I mean, you got to be careful sometimes because then they might take it the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm like you, right? I don't care who you are. I'm going to be kind first until you prove me otherwise, right?
Oh.
And, right, because I know that, like I said, we don't know what someone's going through. They could have just lost a family member. They could have just, right? Something horrible could have just happened. And if you're kind at that moment, you gave them, like you said, some solace that, okay, in this moment, I'm okay because this person, Sam, let me sit here and pass out, or Max smiled and said, have a good day, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's how
yes.
I was just going to say, that's how I try to live my life on a daily basis.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the exact same frequency and the exact same, kind of space I intentionally try to create too within live shows. And then even within things, posting and sharing things online is there's nothing that makes me happier than to look out and see a crowd of completely diverse, different people, different ages,
Right.
different backgrounds, everybody together connected to music. And the amount of times, that I've had someone come up to me and say, oh my gosh, like I felt so welcome to just sit at your show, right? To be here. I felt so okay and so welcome to be in this space. And you're just like, that's amazing. Like, thank you. And thank you for being here. And yes, of course, right? Like that is the goal of, to me, it's, we all have the right to exist. Period. We all have the right to literally be existing human beings, whatever that looks like. We all have the right to literally be alive. And it breaks my heart to hear sometimes folks saying, no, these people deserve to exist. And these people we'd prefer if they don't exist. Right. And it's like, no.
Right.
How do we have space that we can all exist? Because we can coexist peacefully, lovingly, compassionately. We don't have to be best friends. We don't have to see eye to eye, but we can exist. So
Absolutely.
that's the space that's really created within all of this.
Well, see, that's why I believe you creatives, you musicians, you artists, whatever, right? Like, because I had a guest and it stuck with me ever since. And she said, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yeah.
And when you were mentioning, like saying, when you're performing for a crowd, that is such a gift to be able to do that, right? Because you're providing a space, like, cause people are in your concerts dancing and they're all high-fiving each other. I mean, everyone is getting along, right? Like I've been even, at punk rock concerts where the people think it's all great, but no, we're all having a good time listening to these people who have taken the time to learn their craft, right? Even though some people would tell you punk rock is not a craft, I believe it is.
It is. Totally is. Are you kidding? Yes.
But you know what I mean? Like you artists, like yourself, Sam, you give us that space to let us be who we were meant to be at that moment. Yeah. And that's why I love having these conversations with people like yourself, right? Who are out there, what their true intention is, make good music, tell a story, and help people be able to heal whatever they're going through, right? I mean, all that stuff is good, the money and stuff, but I know, like you see, like when I see the lights go on in someone's eyes and they go, I get what you're saying, Max, and I don't ever want to go back. Like, you can't put a price on that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you as an artist, I believe teachers that have the power to mold our little human beings into being good people. Those are my heroes. You guys are my heroes, right?
Yeah.
Because you do provide us the space to, right, be our authentic self, as they talk about, and just, let loose and have a good time and, listen to some really good music. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no. And it's, I was just going to say something that I don't know if we talk about a lot, but like, especially in a live show, it is an energy exchange, right? It is this spiritual energy exchange. The band's feeding off the crowd's feeding off the band, right? Like it is this interconnected thing. And the best example that I can give of this was I went to a show once unannounced. I didn't tell anybody. I was in the audience, and this girl gets on stage who I hadn't seen in like a year, but I was standing in the audience and I just kept thinking, oh my God, I love her. She's so good. It's so nice to see her. I didn't know she was playing tonight. I love you. I just kept thinking that.
Right.
And she gets off the stage, after doing her 3 or 4 songs, and she walks up and I was like, hi, it's so nice to see you. And then she was like, I was literally in the middle of singing on stage and your face popped up in my mind. And I was like, why am I seeing Sam right now? She didn't see me in the crowd. She had no idea I was there. He just had this ping, oh, Sam's here tonight. That's weird. And then so when she saw me, she wasn't surprised at all. She was like, oh, there you are. But I didn't say it. I didn't yell it out loud. It wasn't like, it was just that kind of connection. And I think that's exactly it at a punk show, at a metal show, right? Whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
Salsa show where, right? It's that exchange of energy that we have with each other, which is why it is it's just a powerful gift that we give each other, really.
It is. And I think that's what it's all about, is that exchange of energy in such a positive way, right?
Yeah.
Like people, like I say, like people I would normally never mix with. I'm in the mosh pit, and we're having fun or banging my head at a heavy metal concert or singing, one of Sam's songs. If I'm, when I go to one of her concerts and go see her, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say, hey, Sam, I'm here. And I'm going to
yeah, we'll have a good time.
Yeah, but I love it. This has been a great conversation, and I knew it would be. So I'm going to ask you the questions that I love to ask, and we're going to start with Fearless, right?
Okay.
Going through what you've been through and being an artist too, right? And learning your craft and all that stuff. There's challenges in that. Going through what you've been through, what does fearless mean to you today, and how does that show up in your life on a daily basis?
To me, fearless is being able to be bad at something. And I think the older we get, the more uncomfortable we get with that. We're like, no, I want to become an expert. And I never want to embarrass myself. I never want to make a mistake, right? We think that it's going to, but to me, fearless is saying I'm a grown adult and I have these amazing skills and things, but I'm going to make a total buffoon out of myself by learning, so I didn't learn how to play the guitar until like 2020. And I did a lot of shows very secretly because I knew I was going to totally stink. But I was like, that's okay. Like I've sung for years. I've done a lot of, songwriting, all this stuff, but I was like, I really want to learn this instrument and I'm going to be okay with being bad and not knowing what I'm doing. That's okay. Lived in Germany for a while and didn't know how to speak the language. And there's nothing more humbling than being an adult trying to learn a language, in a different foreign country and just being like, you can laugh at me. I know I used the wrong word. That's totally fine. I will, however, figure this out. And then eventually, became fluent and did a bunch of things and, still speak and everything to this day. But like that to me is fearless, is saying I am okay with potential public humiliation and I'm okay being a beginner with something because I do believe that it will have a long-term lasting impact.
I love it. I love it. that leads me into our next question, right? Happiness. And you see, I put a Y in it. I did that on purpose. I always like to say I did that on purpose. It wasn't a misspell, but knowing I put a Y in happiness. What does happiness mean to you today, Sam? And how does that show up in your life on a daily basis?
Yeah. I think I've thought a lot about happiness, and I have a line in one of the Psalms, that's not on this album, but from a song I wrote a few years ago. And it was like, what if, happiness ain't real, but just a string of moments that we two just feel. And I sometimes I think about happiness as this idea, like I feel like in our modern society and in this modern, like late stage capitalism, marketing kind of thing, we're told that we're supposed to be happy all the time and drink this and take this and do this and date this person and da-da-da, and you'll be happy. And I'm like, if I saw somebody that was that happy all the time, I'd be like, you should probably go and talk to someone. That seems a little, there seems like there's something a little off, right? So then to me, it's like, okay, there is that happiness, but it's like, what is that like underlying like joy and peace and ease and that kind of sense of satiated. So not this like frolicking through the meadow every single day, although I do frolic through a meadow when I see a nice meadow in the springtime. But it's like, what does it look like to have that sustained, deep level of happiness? And that to me just looks like a balanced life. It's like sleeping well, eating well, community, fulfillment, like people you love, people who love you, things that bring you joy, like your job or hobbies or different things. It's like the balance of that, I think, brings this sustained and kind of almost like a mellow happiness.
I love it. Well, this has been an amazing time, like I knew it would be, Sam. Thank you so much. But you know what I'm going to get at, right? If people want to get a hold of you, right, or listen to your music, and especially with the new album coming out, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'd say the easiest one-stop shop is samstokesofficial.com. Just go to the website and that will connect to everything. So it'll have all the music on there, has merch on there, it has social media on there, has YouTube videos, all of it. samstokesofficial.com, and then you can just find everything you need from there.
You heard that, everybody. So let's support Sam when this new album comes out and shoot it to the top, as they say. This has been a really, really good time. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you for sticking with me this whole time, right? And through our little technical difficulties. But this has been a wonderful time. But you're not quite off the hook just yet. I get to ask you my favorite question that I ask of all my guests, and it goes like this. So, Sam, what is the one piece of advice you could give my audience that helps them grow as human beings and become better people?
Oh, wow. I love that. Okay. One piece of advice grows human. Do one nice thing for someone else every single day. I think if you can live outside of yourself and do something for someone else, one little thing, holding the door open, writing a song for someone, calling a friend who's sick, whatever it is, just do one nice thing for somebody else every single day. I think that's a really good place to start.
I love it. Wow, this has been a great time. I love it.
Oh, thank you
so much. Too bad we have to stop, but this has been so much fun. You heard her, everybody. This was an awesome time, right? So if Sam made you think, if Sam taught you something, if Sam made you smile, and my famous, if Sam made you go, I like that, please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star review so more people can find the podcast. And come join me on my new YouTube channel so you can see Sam and I actually have this awesome conversation. And again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. This is Max from the Fearless Happyness Podcast. Until next time.
Are you tired of being weighed down by life's traumas and struggles? Join the Fearless Happyness lifestyle and let us guide you toward a brighter future. Explore our past podcast episodes and get a copy of the Fearless Happyness book to ignite your inner strength. If you or someone you love is battling addiction or facing challenges related to unresolved trauma, know that we are here for you. Visit maxnist.org, maxnijst.org, and take the first steps toward finding your fearless happiness. Thank you for listening. This has been a production of Fearless Happiness.